Okay, so hello everybody. Welcome to today's webinar about auto crop in Capture One 20ch. My name is Sebastian Sardi. I work in tech support here at Phase One headquarters in Copenhagen, Denmark. We have also with us today Yair Shahar. He's the product manager of Phase One CH and he's based in London, UK. He will be sitting in the background. Yeah, here we go. Hi Yair.
Yeah, I'll try not to interrupt you, but if there's any question that I can be of any kind of help for, I'll just jump in, or you can ask me to jump in. So I'll just shut myself up now.
Thanks. So we'll have Yair in the background. He'll be monitoring incoming questions. Today we will be going through auto crop tools in Capture 120ch. So everybody who wants to ask a question, use the questions panel in the GoToWebinar control panel. Now you can just write the question and this pops up on my side or Yair's side, and we will be able to answer it. If you have a question to me, Yair will direct it to me. So your microphone will be muted during the complete session. So use the questions panel. There will be also a recording of today's session. So after today, you will receive an email with the link to this video uploaded to our YouTube channel. Please note that this may take a few days before it is all in place. So this is our topics of today. It's a total of about 60 minutes. It will be 45-minute demonstration of the different auto crop methods and about 15 minutes of the Q questions and answers at the end. So the few or full complete list of auto crop options are listed here. So we'll do auto crop loose material, and there will be auto crop crop on crop, and there will be loose material fixed size. We'll do auto crop for bound material and bound material fixed size, as well as auto crop on camera capture. And we have also another efficient tool, which is the modify crop tool. And besides that, we'll also show you the dual crop or multi-crop feature. And there will be an auto crop for the 135 film. So roll film will be shown with the confidence feedback. These are the topics that we will cover today. So what do you have to consider before cropping? There are some decisions that you have to make in advance. What type of objects will we digitize? Are there a lot of similar size objects, or is there a lot of different size objects? Do we want to use padding, or do we want to use the same size crop? And stuff like this that you have to think about. And also remember that Capture One CH only works with Phase One and some leaf cameras. So keep in mind that no DSLR cameras are supported here. Let's jump straight into Capture 120. Right now, I'm running Capture 120 Cultural Heritage, the CH version. This is build 13.1.2.37, which is the latest version. The CH version is a bit different from Capture One Pro. There is plenty more tools in the CH version to accommodate the Cultural Heritage workflow. And as you can see here, already my tool tabs are a little bit different. This is the CH admin view, which is a workspace that is one of 5 workspaces that we ship with the Cultural Heritage version. So the workspaces are laid out a bit differently to accommodate your workflow when you digitize. And in this case, right now on the production tool tab, which is the star right here. As you can see, there are some other tools here. We have the capture resolution rule, which is a tool specific for CH, but here is the main tool, which is the auto crop tool, which we'll be talking about today. So the auto crop tool is only available in the CH version, and you can have it on the CH version for both Windows and Mac platform. There are other tools which are linked with the auto crop tool, and those are the crop tool and the rotation and flip tool. So the rotation and flip tool and the crop tool are the same tools as you would see in the Capture One 20 Pro. Rotation and flip does exactly what it says to do. You can rotate the image, or you can flip it horizontally or vertically as such. And the little arrow here resets the image back to resetting the tool itself. The crop tool, as normal, you can set aspect ratio. Either use one of our predefined aspect ratios, like a square, for example. We get a square crop, or we can use an unconstrained ratio, which makes you able to define the crop based on however you want to drag and drop it out. So the rotational flip tool and the crop tool are linked to the auto crop tool. You will see that later on, but I can mention that the straighten here is directly linked to the rotation and flip. So if I was to find an image, for example, this, which is not very straight, and I just choose straighten to average and hit an auto crop. Let's set a pre-pass as well. I hit auto crop, and it auto crops in and straightens the image. So we can both see that the rotation and flip tool gets a value right here as a slight negative rotation, and the crop itself gets a crop value based on how auto crop performed. In this case, we're using millimeters. So if you're in US, you might want to use inches. So you can set inches in the on the output tool tab right there on the process recipe. So if we flip this to inches, we move back. We said this is now in inches. But I'm going to go back to millimeters. So if I'm resetting this, which I just cropped in on, we can see that the straighten option here has several options. Default one was none. So in case of auto crop, I can do the auto crop and then not have it straighten the crop if I wish. Or I can choose some of the other options here. I can have an average straighten based on all corners, or I can straighten on any of the other options here: left edge, right edge, top edge, bottom edge, or the corners: top left edge, top right edge, bottom left, or bottom right edge. So whichever you like, or whatever fits your subject or object the best. As I said, straighten here will in fact use the rotation and flip tool and straighten it. So you'll get a value here. If we look at the method right here on the drop down, we can see that there is 5 different options to choose from, and these are categorized in 3 categories. So the 5 different options are loose material fixed size, bound material fixed size, and roll film fixed size. As you can see, these are grouped into 3 groups. So we have loose material, bound material, and we have roll film. We'll go through all of these one by one in more detail. We can say the roll film is strictly for 135 millimeter film that has sprocket holes. When choosing this, that's the film type you want to use it on. We have bound material, which are obviously for bound materials such as books or catalogs or magazines or scrapbooks or anything that is essentially bound, has a spine, and you can go through it page by page. and then loose material is well, anything that's not a roll film or not a bound material. So loose material would be sheets of paper, such as drawings or maps or letters or papers or anything that's singular and flat and well, in a form that you want to digitize a reflective material. So in this case, I have some loose material here right now, which is a bunch of letters. So I have then some envelopes and different size letters in my material here. So I will choose the loose material only, which is then the non-fixed size. The fixed size would only indicate that the crop itself will have the same size crop throughout the entire batch of images that I'm cropping through. And as in this case, we can see that I have some different size material which has been digitized, and hence I'm not going to use the fixed size method, but I'm going to use simply the loose material one, which is the non-fixed one. So I will simply proceed with selecting loose material, non-fixed size. We can set straighten on this to, I'm going to set it to average, to have it averagely straight. We have an option which is called pre-pass, where the drop down shows the contrast you will apply between the background and the subject itself. So in this case, as you can see, we have a white letter on a white background. So the contrast itself between the two will need to be set to a good amount so that we can actually distinguish the object from the background. And this is what pre-pass does. So if I was to set this to like I have it now, low object background contrast, and simply hit auto crop, this will give me a good crop already now. So it will be able to distinguish the letter from the background and crop into the letter itself. If I was to reset this, you can see that I'm also resetting the rotation and flip. And if I was to use none for the pre-pass and hit auto crop, it's not going to do an equally good job to distinguish where to crop the paper out from the background. And if I was to set a medium object background contrast, hit auto crop, it's also not going to do such a good job. So it's important to find the correct amount of pre-pass to apply to the object or to your auto crop if you have a situation where you've digitized something which kind of blends into the background. So in this case, the low object background contrast is an adequate amount to apply for this auto crop right here. So I can then just proceed with either just go one by one and hitting auto crop. We'll see that it rotates, it gives it a crop. Every time I hit auto crop. So what we're looking for is essentially the biggest square-shaped object in the scene. So it's not going to crop out the target that we see right here. because it finds an object which is bigger. You may, however, have a scenario where the object is in fact smaller than the target, but then we can simply hit auto crop again and again and again on the same image, and it will try to crop into what's already been cropped. So I can go through these one by one, or I can simply just select all of my images. In this case, I'm just selecting the ones I haven't done yet. So multiple select with the shift key and then just hit auto crop, and it will again go through all of these and just crop into all of the pictures one by one, so you don't have to do it manually. So Command Shift A deselects them all, and now you can just flicker through them one by one, see if we got everything right or not. So in some cases, we can see that it's just cropped on the edge. You may or you may not want this. It's up to you how you choose to crop into your objects. There may be cases where you want to leave some padding outside of the image, or there may be cases where you want to actually go into the image and remove some of the border or some of the padding, so to speak. So in that case, we can just simply either add padding with a plus positive value. So I'm going to add 100 pixels padding here. Just hit auto crop, and we'll see that it gives you a bit of space in the edges. Or we can simply add a negative padding with minus 100 pixels. Hit enter, and I hit auto crop, and it will crop into the letter slightly, so you don't have anything of the background showing. The optimization is not used for loose material or bound material, but the optimization is an option used for the roll film. So I will talk about optimization later. There is also an option to do crop on crop, which is this little checkbox right here. So if I check this and I hit the crop, let's see if I redo this. If I do a general crop, which is not really specific for the paper I'm trying to crop out, but just a rough, quick general crop, and when I let it go, it will then within that crop find the object that you want to crop out on. So the crop on crop is very good if you have multiple square-shaped objects and you just want to quickly isolate the one of them. Then you can manually drag a quick crop and it will crop into that one specifically. Let's talk about loose material fixed size. So we can take a look at these. These are some photos which are all in the same size. So in this case, we can obviously use the loose material fixed size to get the same size crop for every frame here. So I'm just going to go ahead and select loose material fixed size, and I'm going to select the first one. I'm going to do straighten on average and select none as pre-pass because the object to background contrast is already very high. Optimization I'm not going to use, we use that in film. And then I'm gonna make a custom size crop that covers the photo. Once that is done, I'm gonna click the Set Master Crop button. This will set these crop dimensions to be the master crops, and I'm gonna apply the same crop dimensions for the rest of the images. So by hitting Command A on the keyboard, I'm selecting all of them, and I'm gonna then click Auto Crop. Capture One will then do the magic. So now all of these are cropped and they are all in the same size. Let's talk about biomaterial now. I'm going to go through biomaterial and biomaterial fixed size. So biomaterial fixed size is going to be similar to loose material fixed size, but biomaterial, I have a book here which has been digitized in a BC 100, and in this case the book opens 100 degrees, and we're getting the gutter and a piece of the opposite side as well. And what biomaterial does is that it can locate these parts of a book, these squares and shapes, and the gutter and the copy stand as well, the table. It knows what shape it has, and it knows how to use this shape in order to better isolate the actual picture which is of interest. So in this case, the opposite page here is not of interest. So if I was to use, just for the sake of showing it, if I was to use loose material, which would be the incorrect way to use this, and I'll just do an average. I'll do a right edge because we have the gutter. If I use the loose material here, we see that we're actually getting a fair amount of the opposite page as well. And if I was to use biomaterial instead, so I'm using the right edge because the gutter is here and this is where the book is held down. I'm not doing any pre-pass because the background to object contrast is already pretty high, and I'm doing auto crop here. We are much better in actually succeeding to find what's interesting here. So it's this side of the book. Again, loose material does a fairly rough crop to incorporate the other side, whereas biomaterial manages to better find the page itself. Now, biomaterial and loose material are different in this way because the biomaterial can locate these parts of a book and expects them to be there in order to better make the crop. Biomaterial, we can, in a similar way as with loose material, add some padding, and to get a slightly bigger picture or smaller picture, we can crop out or crop into with plus or minus padding, like that. So the differences between biomaterial non-fixed size and loose material non-fixed size is that the biomaterial is better made in order to locate the page of a book. Similarities between the both is that they do both do a crop which is individual for this for each picture. So in a case like this, if I do a crop biomaterial, we get these values here, 352, 444. And if I do it another one on this one, let's remove the padding. I get 352, 436. And if I do this one, I get another value. If I do this one, I get another value. So if I go through these, with the arrow keys, we can see that all of these crops are slightly ever so different. So even though it's a book with the pages are the same size throughout the book, it doesn't have to be so necessarily, but in this case it is. We do get different size crops. This is not always what we like to have. So in this case, we can use the fixed size crop. Now when I enable fixed size, we see that a new button pops up here, and the auto crop button is actually grayed out. So the non-fixed size versions only have the auto crop button, which is lit. But both fixed size versions enable a second button, which is the set master crop button, while the auto crop button gets grayed out. This is because we first of all need to specify the master crop, which will be the size of the crop which we'll use throughout the rest of the pages. So in this case, I'm gonna set a master crop simply by making a crop like so with the crop tool itself, doing a crop with these dimensions, and then I'm gonna hit the button set master crop. So now I've specified that this will be my crop that I will use throughout the rest of the captures. Now, once I hit the set master crop, the auto crop button lights up. So meaning I can now select the rest of my captures and then hit auto crop. Capture 1 will then proceed to use my crop and apply it to the rest of the pages. So now the crop, same size crop, as you can see the crop dimensions here do not change, whereas the rotation still changes. And we have the same size crop throughout the entire book. And the same reasoning goes for loose material fixed size. So you need to set a crop, master crop for loose material, and then copy, select all your images, and then hit auto crop to copy the or make the auto crop for the rest of the object. So I'll do this again. I'll hit Command A. I'll reset the crop and the rotation. I'll use the crop tool, set a master crop first by pulling out a manual crop and then hitting the set master crop button. Once that is done, Command A to select all, hit auto crop. That's it. So I want to show you guys crop on capture. This is the pre-flight tab, the little hammer. You can see my camera is connected right here. I'm gonna enter live view. So this is currently my setup. It's just a black cloth background, and I'm gonna place one image just here in the center, and close capture one. Close live view and go back to my production tab and just make a quick capture to see what I have. So currently this is not a very well use of the scene, but just for demo purposes we're gonna use loose material because I got plenty of these, and we can do an average straighten, and I'll do none as pre-pass because the background to object contrast is pretty high already. And on next capture adjustments, I'm gonna use copy from last, and I'm gonna make sure that
on capture is checked here on the auto crop tool. So now next time I hit Command K on the keyboard, it's going to make a new capture and it's going to crop into it. So now I see I got the full paper. I can possibly go in a bit on this. So if I make a padding, negative padding for 100 pixels, and I hit Command K again, and then we do crop on capture. Next capture will be pretty much a little bit of the white frame and the picture. So now I can start working through these, change the picture, hit Command K, 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 change the picture, and well, you see we're getting a crop automatically on each capture.
So I want to show you guys multi-crop or dual crop. In this case, it's going to be a multi-crop because I'm going to digitize 4 different objects at the same time. I'm going to the pre-flight tab and starting live view just so you guys can see my scene. I have plenty of these pictures. They're all pretty much the same size and they're all flat objects. And I've already prepared with a little grid here. So this is just a white sheet of paper where I've been drawing a small grid that fits my pictures. So I got 4 frames, so I'm going to do 4 objects at the same time. And as you can see, I've just made the grid so it pretty much fits my objects the best. Now placement here is a little bit more crucial than before, and this is because we're not using auto crop. We're essentially using another type of auto crop, and that is just copying the crop from the previous crop as well as copying the variant. So in terms of the auto crop tool that we've seen, it's not really playing a part here. That means that the alignment and placement is a little bit more crucial here because we're not going to automatically detect the crop in the same fine precision as before. So I'm going to close live view and I'm just going to take a frame and what we see here now is that I have 1, 2, 3, 4 squares, and I'm going to start with making a variant for each and a crop for each. So this is my first variant, and I'm going to go ahead and use the on crop action here on the auto crop tool just in order to make better crops. So I'm going to add some padding as well. Let's see what to do if we use 100, and I just do a crop on here, and it crops on crop, so I get a 100 pixel padded crop pretty easily on my first variant, as you can see here. Now I create my second variant. Just right click on the first one and select new variant. For the second variant, I'm using a crop on crop as well. Now at this point I'm actually using the auto crop tool and the on crop option. So I did my second variant. I'm going to do my third here. Do the same thing, crop on crop, and then a fourth variant. So using this one and simply the crop tool, I'm dragging a little bit of rough crop on top, and it snaps in and adds me 100 pixels padding. So now I got 4 variants. I'm going to remove this. I'm going to put on the hand tool, and I'm going to hold Command on my keyboard and select my 4 crops and 4 variants. So this is what it looks like right now. I did one raw file with 4 variants, each with one specific individual crop. Now the trick is to, on the next capture adjustment, we go to Other and hit Copy Variants from Last. So the Copy Variants from Last is also a CH specific feature, only available in Capture One CH, Windows and Mac. Now in this case, I'm copying the variants as well as the crops with every shot I make. So if I make a new shot here, keep in mind now that I have all 4 variants selected while doing the shot. So I'm hitting Command K. And we're getting 4 new. So now I'm gonna change my pictures to 4 different ones. I'm gonna try to do my placement as good as possible within this grid. Although I have some padding, it's always nice to be within the frame. So 4 new pictures, Command K. And these are the 4 multi-cropped images. So I proceed, change these, put 4 new pictures. Hit Command K. And I got 4 new ones. So this effectively makes me digitize 4 flat objects in one shot. Hit Command K. Got 4 new ones. Place new ones. Hit Command K. And I get 4 new ones. So this is multi-crop or dual crop, or how many crops you want, as long as you utilize the scene as well as possible. You can put as many objects as you want into the scene. Keep in mind to use the copy variants from last and to have your variant selected while doing the next shot, and also that this multi-crop or dual crop feature is rather a function of the next capture adjustments tool than actually using the auto crop. So in this case, I only used auto crop and the on crop function to get a decent first crop for my variants. Also note that even though I have 4 variants, it doesn't mean I have 4 raw files. 4 variants, they all refer to the same actual raw file. So if I have storage space, I'm not going to use 4 times 140 megabytes for these, but rather only 1 time 140 or approximately 130, 140 megabytes for this shot. But I do have 4 pictures in the same frame. So what I want to show you next is auto crop for roll film. I have a session here with 1 roll of negative film, 35mm black and white, and we're gonna auto crop these frames right here. So currently I have 39 frames here, which I want to apply auto crop onto. So the auto crop tool here, as we've seen before, we have loose material and we have bound material. And for film, specifically 135 film, we're going to use the roll film fixed size. This is built for the 35mm film, and it takes into consideration the sprocket holes, and it can also take into consideration the start and end of the previous frame and the next coming frame in order to best place its crop. So I'm choosing roll film fixed size, and as with all other fixed size methods, we do get the set master crop button, which lights up. Set master crop means that we're gonna first define our crop measurements, and then we're going to use auto crop to apply these crop measurements onto the rest of the film. Before we do that, we can talk a little bit about optimization. The optimization is something that we use with film when digitizing film, and it basically is a feature to set auto levels on interior of the crop. So on the inside of the crop I make, we can do an auto levels. To get the best result from this, it's important that you set in Capture One Preferences the levels tool, channel mode, to individually set the levels for red, green, and blue channels individually, specifically. So this is the option we want to have set here. Once that is done, we're gonna find a frame where we can specify our master crop. So we're gonna do the master crop as we've done before, but we want to be quite specific on doing this as accurately as possible, as the levels will be done inside this crop. We don't want to include very much from outside, because that will affect our levels. So in this case, setting this pretty decently, and I'm gonna select set master crop as before, and then I'm hit Command A on the keyboard, selecting all other images, and you can just take a look in the actual levels tool and see that levels are currently not set for this specific image. So once all images are selected, I'm going to hit auto crop, and Capture One is going to do some thinking, and we can see that we're getting balanced out nice levels on our crops, and hopefully as well we're getting well made crops. As you can see, we're also getting color tags. In this case, we can see a green one here, a blue one here, and a yellow one here. And this is the built-in feature for film confidence crop feedback, which would indicate Capture One's idea of how successful the crop was done. So a blue color tag will mean that this is the original image that we had as our master crop. A green color tag will indicate that Capture One thinks that the crop it made, the auto crop it made, was successful. A yellow color tag means that it may not be 100% successful, and a red color tag would mean that Capture One thinks it failed doing the auto crop on that specific image. So in this case, between our 39 images, we have a fair amount of green and some yellow color tags. So we can quickly go to our filter section and see that the green is 27 successful crops, and yellow is 11 fairly successful auto crops. So in this case, if I'm just gonna look at the yellow ones, we can see that maybe this crop can be moved ever slightly to the right, and then we can mark it green, and then it will be removed from the filters, from the yellow filters, which I now have selected, and go to the green filter. And I can do this for all of the ones that are yellow in order to quickly go through them if I want to actually move the crop or not. And once all that is done, I can just check pretty quickly to see some of these crops are fairly well done anyways. So in cases where we think that capture one just hit a little bit of a warning, we can just quickly flip them over to green. Or if we want to manually go about and move the crop, we can do so. Currently I'm flipping these 11 ones to green. This one, it obviously failed on because it's only half a frame, but I'm making them all green like that. And once we have, we can take a closer look by zooming in or by selecting 3 of them. And then if we have a selection of 4, I can just make hold the option key and do forward in pairs of 4, so we can quickly judge all these crops 4 by 4 like this. This is the confidence feedback and the film auto crop. We can also see that the levels tool, we got automatic levels for each channel, so we got some nice contrast, and we can start working with this pretty fast. And the auto levels is the optimization that we talked about. Let me show you how to modify crops. On crop is very powerful, but a lot of people prefer to do the crop after they've done their captures. As you've seen in the previous captures I've done, some of the crops haven't really been perfect. These were the multi-crop, multi-capture options right here, and there may be instances where the crop didn't align perfectly or the placement didn't align perfectly when I copied over the crop. So we can quite easily do either a batch modification of the crop, or we can do it specifically for a singular image. So in this case, we go to the Store tab here, and I'm gonna click the 3 dot icon, which is the action menu. So the 3 dot icon is available for a lot of tools, but on the crop tool and the auto crop tool, you can see that the modify crop appears. So the modify crop is a powerful tool to either batch apply to a lot of pictures at one go, or to apply it to a singular image. So in this case, modify crop looks like this. The location is the location of the crop. So the first frame here is to fill in the horizontal move. Plus value will move it to the right, and the negative value will move it to the left horizontally. Location value second one here is for moving the crop vertically. So we're moving it, a plus will move it down, and a minus will move it up. So in this case, if I would like to move the crop, please note that we're moving the crop and not the image itself. So the crop will be moved. And in this case, if we want to move it horizontally to the left, we can simply put minus 10 here. And this will move it 10 millimeters in this case to the left. So if I hit enter and modify, the crop moves. Going back again to the modify crop, we can change the size of the entire crop. So we can either make it larger or we can make it smaller. So the first frame here in the size button is the width of the crop. So a positive value will make it wider, a negative will make it more narrow, the crop. And the second one is the height of the crop. So positive will make it larger, negative will make it smaller. So in this case, we could probably crop into this a bit. So I'm going to make the crop smaller, adding -5 on the width and -5 on the height as well. So hit enter and modify, and the crop shrinks. So we can see that it wasn't a whole lot. So going back to the modify crop tool, the values will be remembered and we can easily add it again. Up here, we have 9 anchor points. So if we want to modify the crop while having it anchored in one corner, we can easily set the anchor point to the lower left or the upper right corner. The default one is the center. So expanding a crop while it's centered will expand it in all directions. But if I have it anchored down on the left and we expand the crop, say we make it 10 pixels wider and 10 pixels taller, we can then anchor it by the bottom left edge here, and it will only expand it up and to the right. So enter, modify, and the crop expands. This can then easily be applied to multiple images. For example, in a case with the film roll we captured before, if we want to, for example, expand the crop a bit to have it slightly wider in order to get some of the dark edges as well, we can simply anchor it in the center and expand the crop, say 20 millimeters on both height and width, and then modify, and all of these crops will then easily be expanded and modified. So this goes for all the selected images in a batch. Moving on to questions and answers, we can start this section now and see if we got any questions here or anything you want to bring up, anything you found.
I tried answering as much as I could during the webinar. Maybe just highlight 2 or 3 that I've seen that could be interesting for everyone. So there was a question about when you shoot a book, and initially you set the auto crop to cover, let's say, the page with a bit of the cover. And what about just setting it for the page only? And correct me if I'm wrong, Sebastian. You can just sort of auto crop again inside that initial crop, and that'll just select the next smaller rectangular object. Or you can set it up manually like you showed later on. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. If you initially make a crop and you want to find something that is slightly smaller, then you just hit the auto crop again, and it will within the crop make another attempt to it. So you can always go narrow down and go down, down, down into a crop for every time you press the button.
Okay. There was another one from Derek about the DNG export, and I suggested that we take it offline because we need to ask a few more questions about exactly what is compared to what in terms of exporting a phase 1 raw file into a DNG from Capture One. So we just need to look a little bit further into that. What's the next one? Yeah, good question, and I'm sure Sebastian, you can cover it about naming of the resulted images when you use multicrop. So what do
Uh,
they get? What sort of names do they get?
so the naming will be the original, essentially the original file name. But if you want to output so you can actually make a difference, there is an output token for the variant position. So you can use the variant position in this case we had 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you'll be able to use that as a one or second or third or fourth piece of that raw file. So that will be the output token on the output processing in order to distinguish that there is a difference between them. So we don't have any other naming option but to give it another number, essentially.
Yeah, thank you. Question if can we do renaming in Capture One? And yes, of course. In Capture One, you pick one of the thumbnails and you click on the actual file name and you can do the renaming, but you can also do it in a batch. So if you've misplaced one of the pages, there's a feature in Capture One that allows you to select the whole batch and just rename it and renumber it. And so on. But maybe the answer is more specifically to multi-crop, but I guess the answer is the same. So you just select those few images and rename them. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Question, what do you use for 5:4 film or medium format? I guess it's regarding film scanning. Then it'll be the same, but obviously you don't have strips of 5:4 images, so you don't need that special algorithm that gives you the feedback confidence and so on and so forth. So you will be doing it either manually or by just using the standard auto crop. And to actually hold and handle the material, then of course we provide hardware for it as well. So that will be a film capture stage with film holders and glass plate holders and so on. Question, does the autocrop for film only work with 35mm? Yeah, that's exactly what I answered. So autocrop for film only works with a 35 purely because that's how we sort of optimize the algorithm. Saying that for strips of 120, it might work and it might worth checking. But then again, the sprockets look different and the different sizes and so on. So I wouldn't count on that. And I think maybe the last one. I don't know, Sebastian, if you can share your screen and just show quickly the section when you were talking about setting the auto levels, the optimization bit, just so people know where to find it if they do scan negatives.
Yeah. So in terms of auto levels, we want to go in Capture 120 preferences and we want to use the levels tool channel mode right here and set the one to instead of RGB channel as a general levels. We want to do individual levels for each channel individually, and this is the option we want to set then. If going into the optimization tool tab right here. So all levels will then proceed to work individually for each level. So this is a feature we use.
Yeah. We have actually we've done another webinar a few weeks ago specifically about film scanning, and that actually covers all these little bits and pieces about optimization and setting up levels and so on. So when you get the follow-up email, possibly tomorrow, I think it's automated, we'll make sure that there's a link there as well for the other webinar. I think you'll find it useful. I think this is it more or less. Let me see if there's anything new. Question about reel film scanning, and I guess it's about reel as in moving films from one roll to the next one, like a cinema film. The scanning functionality itself is exactly the same, so it's just a matter of different frame sizes and so on. Yeah. Then yeah, I think that's pretty much it. But we'll make sure you get the link for the film scanning webinar as well. And if you see on your screen, just if you're lazy like myself, you can just use your mobile phone to scan that QR code, and it'll take you to our contact page. So if you have any further questions that come up with after the webinar, then by all means, just shoot us an email through that page. And it's also worth knowing that there's the Capture One CH is available as a trial version. It's not a straightforward just downloading it from Capture One website and hitting the go button. But if you contact us, then again, or contact the local phase one partner, we can arrange to get you a trial version. And usually it runs for 60 days, so it gives you enough time to play with it and figure out if it works for your specific setup. Yeah. Anything I've missed, Sebastian?
No, I thank you for wrapping that up for me, Yair. Well, you're welcome to follow us on social media. You can search for Phase One CH or Phase One Cultural Heritage, and well, I hope to see you guys next time. Thank you for today. Have a good day.